And we're back with me, Johnny McMurray, on the On the Spot Football Podcast for yet another fantastic guest. Tonight's guest, a Linfield legend, a midfield maestro, and fresh off a Steel & Sons Cup final win, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Paul McAreavey. Paul, how are you, sir?
Thank you, Johnny. Great to be here.
What an introduction that was.
It's unreal. I was unreal. Thank you. Could have done a wee bit more. I'm a wee bit gutted with that.
Don't before. You know me, get a head blow up. Like.
Yeah, that was top drawer.
How's things?
I'll give you a favour later.
Nice.
Mate, no, everything's going well. Yeah, life's good.
Back coaching, back in the mix of it. Glad to be back?
Yes and no.
Right.
When I was doing the podcast with Linfield, I kept saying, that's me done now. I've been doing it for a long, long time. After Glentoran, it was a bit of a sickener. But family life and work was taking a lot of time. So it was good to get the break. And then I had the break for about 18 months. And I was like, I'm getting used to this now. I used to get away with the wife for weekends and all. We were taking European breaks and all. And life was good. But it just somehow always calls you back. It's in the blood.
Especially whenever you have somebody that you've been so close to that probably wants to go back in as a manager, and he's only going to bring you with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But he was sort of the same at that time. I'm not going to tell any lies. When we were talking about it, we were glad to be out of it just to get that break. But you end up missing it at the time. I was thinking, no, I'll happily stay away with us and get the weekends and get the summer back and all the rest of it. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed that time, spending that time with the kids and all. But it always does call you back. And we got the phone call to go up to Ballymacash. We were like, Ballymacash, third division, I don't know. But we would always be respectful. They asked us to go and meet them. So we decided we'd go up and meet them and see what would happen. And then we were blown away by them. Not only the people who we met, but then the overall picture behind it. The facilities are top drawer.
People don't actually understand, I think, what's actually up there. It's incredible. So I think most people should be trying to implement that exact same sort of structure. Like they've got the gym, ice baths, saunas, steam rooms, everything. The
upstairs is going to be like a 200-room function room rating with full glass right around the pitch. So if you're up the stairs, whether they're having like used to do it at Ballymena, used to have that up the stairs with a glass room every now and again, so you could get food and drinks and then watch the game from there. They have that as well, and that's going to be finished soon. And so all that adds to it. And we spoke about it before, and when we went up, and I went back in the day when DC got the funding, they built 2 stands, and it's nearly like a white elephant it's turned into. You know, and you're going, if they had that vision or had a thought, they should have, instead of putting that money in that, they should have put it into that arena. Yeah. And then they would have had a gym and recovery and physio there all the time, and it would have worked perfect for what they needed.
Tennessee would have generated money too from the area, and people in it. And
then change the grass pitch to a 4G pitch, and then all of a sudden you're flying, and that's the model to go down of that. There's no doubt, it definitely is, rather than building stands where you can only sit in a stand once every 2 weeks. Where you can use that facility every single day.
Or have other people using it, renting it out.
Oh, 100%.
Fixtures, X, Y, and Z.
Fantastic idea.
It's definitely why everybody's going that way.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
How do you feel about it all, though? Like, your day was pretty much predominantly a grass pitch, like. So.
Yeah. Well, I
doubt you would like to play on.
Well, at the end of my career, I left Linfield and went to Dundalk, and Dundalk were playing on the 4G pitch, and that's where I picked up that osteitis pubis, and I had that for 2 years, and then I had to retire. But I know had a few injuries through my career, but I'd never a groin injury. And when this started coming on me, I was like, what is this? Why am I so sore here? Because it was never a stage where I went, I pulled the groin, I've hit a tackle or I've run and pulled the groin. It's just kept coming on me. And the surgeons and the specialists we went to see said it was just all your career playing on grass, training grass, playing on grass, to going down at 28, 29, and then starting to train on 4G every single day and playing games on it every weekend.
It's just harder.
Yeah, but the word he used to me was, he says about 3 out of 100 would get it, and he says he's just been unfortunate at that time. I'll always remember him saying that. Yeah.
Well, it had to be you, didn't it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I went back twice to him. The first year, he says it could take a year. Did the year, went back playing 2 months, came back again. And then the second year, I went back again and got another one. He just said, listen, hang them up.
Jack it in.
No, hang them up. Time to go. Yeah. He says, I'll go down and start my coaching bodies in. Keep me in the game. Yeah.
Well, listen, obviously it's a pleasure to have you in. I've been with you for years now. We've been mates for a long, long time. Yeah. I love getting people in that I know, because the conversation is always a wee bit funnier, it's a wee bit better. And I'm nosy, so I get to dive into the actual career that you had without me really knowing. All right. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take it back to the start. So young lad, West Belfast, making it in football. How does that come around? How does it get started? Why football?
My family weren't really into football, soccer, and they're still the same. And I just loved it. My mum said from I was no age, I just constantly kicking a football out in the street, in the house, and it was just born into me for Don't know the reason why, but I just constantly played it and all I thought about it and all I watched it. She says from your no age, if it came on the TV or watching it, she says you just loved it. And then when I was about 8, I went up. There was a local team called Newhill in West Belfast. It was a top of the weight trap facing Ballymacash. And I went up there. The youngest you could play was an under 10s, but I was quite big for my age. So I was only 8 when I went up, and I ended up getting into the team at under 10s. And then from 8, I was playing and training with them boys up in the weight trap Leisure Centre. So I just started playing away there, and that's all it was, just playing football with Newhill week in, week out. And then I think I got to about 13, and I started to realise I'm good at this and decent at it. Like, and seemed to be one of the best players every time I played. And then we went over to Whitley Bay with Newhill at under 14, and that's where I picked up my first trial for Swindon Town. Swindon Town were obviously had scouts there, and they pulled Newhill and said, "That big lad, we'd love to take him over."
See, at this stage, just before you went any further, are you still slightly younger than everybody else? Have you stayed in the same team?
No, when I was 8, I was playing in the older teams, and then once I got to 10,
you were able to stay.
But I stayed. I think it was a year older the next one.
Okay.
But then when I came to 11, we actually got a good team at my age, really good team, Arnie Hill team. We ended up winning and I stayed in the team nearly right through. I went to Oliver Plunkett for about a year in between it. I left for a year and then went back. But we had a decent team, all West Belfast players, all Rockets, and we ended up winning the Championship Champions at under 16, which was never happened in Newhill's thing, but in Newhill's history. But we had a really cracking team, so we did really good players from around there, and that was a big thing for us. But yeah, no, at the start that helped me playing with older kids, and then it sort of fizzled out because we had a good team and they're all my mates. When you get to that age, at 12 or 13, and we're all in the same year and all lived in the same area, then I wanted to play with my own friends. So I went back into that age group from like probably 12 or 13 up to 16.
Do you think, looking at that now, back to your sort of trajectory as a footballer, that being 2 or 3 years younger than everybody else and getting into that team and playing with people who are slightly more physical helped you?
Oh, it would help you. It depends. It can help people and it can hinder people, can't it?
Mm-hmm.
I was physically big. I come from a big family. My family, even though we're from Belfast, half of my family are from up in Derry and the other half are from County Cavan, all big countrymen. But my granny and granda moved into the city and then the rest of it took good care of itself. But when you look at my family, I'm one of the smallest. Okay. Our lads and our cousins in my family are 6'5" and 6'4". We're big lads, and I'm one of the smallest, 6 foot. So I had that physical side of me. So I was able to cope with it from no age. And then being where I was from, it was either sink or swim. You know, boys hit you and you could go home crying, or else you got wired back into them and then you got that respect. So I always got that taught to me from when I was a young age. Yeah. Don't be afraid of anybody. Anybody hits you, try and hit them back harder. If they hit you and hurt you, hit them again. Just keep going and keep going. Don't give up. And that's the way I sort of lived my life when I was younger. Like,
whenever you're playing football at a young age and you start to get these trials, Swindon's your first taste of potentially going to England. Mm-hmm. Is that daunting for you or exciting?
No, it was exciting for me.
Yeah.
Because I was one of them kids, I was very forward, I had no fear.
Right.
They called the ADHD now, apparently.
Right, okay.
Since I was undiagnosed. Yeah. I've got a young son and I think he has it too. Like, but I just never had that fear. I don't know why. When I was no age and no fear, I could walk into a group of 30 people and it was no problem to me. Yeah. You know, but there's other people did have that fear.
100%.
So it wasn't daunting for me at all. No. I was very fortunate then. Once it's 14, it started kicked off, and then a lot of clubs came calling. Like, so I went to Wimbledon and Crystal Palace, Ipswich Town, Leicester City, Swindon. You know, there was a lot of teams I went to at that age. Then they all started coming in, and then started to get a wee bit recognised at that stage. Then,
what was the difference in clubs at that stage? What clubs did you like? What clubs did you not like? And why would you have wanted to go for a certain club over others?
Swindon were always there from the start. From the very start, there was a guy called Phil Cannon. He was a Scouser, but he was working down in Swindon under Steve McMahon, the Liverpool legend. Okay. And he was just so good to me and my family from we were 14, and he really, really wanted me to sign, and he put so much effort into it. But when I went to Ipswich Town, it was amazing to go into the training ground and where you stayed and getting the flights over and getting picked up at the airport and getting drove at a 14-year-old,
yeah,
you're going, wow, this is mental. Yeah. When I'm living beside the Henry Tiger Fort with those bombs and shootings going off every other week, and then you're going over there and going, oh, it's a better life out here.
New world.
It's a different world. So all that was brilliant for me. So it's probably a getaway or two from where I lived and where I grew up. But it was amazing times, like to go to all these different places, go to London and Croydon. I stayed in Croydon with Crystal Palace and Wimbledon. And then I went to Leicester City and stayed in Leicester City beside our training ground and Went over there and seen all the training where they went, where they trained, and then Filbert Street and all back in the day, what it was. And it was just amazing time. So for me, I was in awe of every single one of them. I was going, wow, this is class, to seeing these big stadiums, seeing the training ground, going every Saturday and Sunday to their academies and playing games and stuff. It was brilliant.
Was this over like a 2-year period?
Over a 2-year period, yeah. From was 14, there was about 16. But Swindon wanted me to sign. Years ago, you could have signed schoolboy forms.
Okay.
But I didn't do it. I purposely didn't do it because I knew these other clubs were coming in, and my parents knew, and I went, well, Blackburn Rovers I went to as well. Forgot about that one with Hamilton.
Was Gary there?
Yeah.
So you were with Gary for
yeah, it's
that wasn't much. 40 years, 50 years later.
1985.
That's wild.
When they won the league under Kenny Dalglish, that's when we were over. Now, he was a superstar over, but they brought me over and did all right when I played for him, but they never called me
Was
back.
Gary already established at this stage?
Yeah, he was good. Like, yeah, to be fair,
you don't really want to say too much to him, like, do you?
No. Well, you know, he knows how I feel without. Well, I've usually tell about a few beers on us, but he was one of the best players I played for from our no age. You know what I mean? From we met each other from we were 14, playing in the leagues, and then we sort of got into the Northern Ireland, you know, the schoolboy type of thing. Mm-hmm. He made the schoolboys, and I just made the outside of it. And then when I went to under 16s, then we started playing regularly. I started getting into the international 16 team, and then we played right up until Tony Owens.
Talk to me about signing. What's that like? And my whole family go over with you. Yeah, made a big fuss out of it.
Yeah.
How proud were you?
Very proud. When we finally decided to sign for Swindon Town, they'd never give out a pro contract, they kid. So they gave me a 2-year scholarship, which they give everybody, and then they give me a 1-year pro, which was a 3-year contract back then for me to sign. Okay. And Steve McMahon came over to Belfast to do it at the hotel that I got married in, though, on the Blacks Road. I forgot the name of it now. Balmoral Hotel. And New Hill had a big function up there.
Right.
And then Steve McMahon came and handed out the prizes, and then at the end of it was Paul signing for us at Swindon. He's moving over, so it was brilliant that way. And then before that, my parents went over and had a game at Swindon Town, and we put us in a hotel and treated us like royalty, and had my mum and dad sit with Steve McMahon's family for the dinner before the game and all. It was brilliant. Like, it was top drawer.
Class had to go out of their way to try and make you feel like, oh, you're with these people.
You imagine you're only 15 or 16, because I moved over when I was 16, so I could have had him when I was maybe at the end of my 15, turning 16. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he has so much to deal with as a championship club, and there's thousands of the games and everything else, and he's taking that time out to set me and my parents with his family for the game, which it's when you think about it, it's quality. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Especially being the legend that he is. Like, everybody knows who he is. He's had an incredible career.
And I grew up supporting Liverpool. He was a superstar. I mean, my mum was telling him, he said matches you all the time on the TV and shit, you know. And I was going, shut up, mum, shut up. But I was.
You were.
Going, he's a superstar. And then you started training with him when you made the first team, and he was maybe turning 40, and he was still unbelievable centre midfielder. He was like guys or early 20s, and he was just, it was actually funny. Like, he was just so good. So good. It was.
See, whenever you kind of get in, you've signed, you've moved over, settled yourself a wee bit, did you feel homesick at any stage? And what was the changes from the part-time aspect to the full-time aspect? How quickly did you catch up? Or
I caught, you're not going to believe this now because you all slag me, I caught up really quickly. Because I was flying at that stage. At that stage, I wouldn't have been, in terms of alcohol and everything else, and women, as you can expect, I was only 16, that all I thought about was playing sports. I played Gaelic every day, hurling every day, soccer every day, all three of them every day, whether it was for the school or the Gaelic club. I played for Rossa in West Belfast, with Donovan Rossa, and then I played for New Hill. Then I played for the Northern Ireland team as well. So I was 7 days a week. I was constantly training.
Your man, dad's fuel bill must have been.
Oh, my dad was full taxi driver. That's one full circle. I'm doing it with my three now. Now Emma's with me tonight, and she follows me everywhere, and I follow her everywhere, and it's like a full circle now. Now, if I'm not working or doing my own football, I'm in the car driving them to where they need to be.
So you probably wouldn't want to do anything else?
Oh, love it. Very lucky, very fortunate.
You know, well, I'm looking forward to that myself now.
It'll
take a few years, do you know what I mean? So I'll enjoy not having to do it for a while.
But you'll love it. You'll complain about it, but you'll love it.
So whenever you move in, you're full-time, you're playing games. Do you start to see that you're taking off quite quickly compared to other people who are over there? Yeah. And the level that you've went in at, do you feel that you're bang on it compared, or was it like, no, some people are going to be better than me here and I have to prove myself?
No, I probably didn't really think of 3 and 3, but I thought I was a good player and I was doing well. And I was full of confidence because before I went over, our Northern Ireland team made the European Championships under 16. We qualified for it. Okay. So just before I went over to move, we were playing in Germany in the finals. with Gary Hamilton, Warren Feely and all. We were on the same team. It wasn't a Victory Shield, it was the next one. Okay. It was the under 16s.
Yeah,
it was actually the Northern Ireland proper under 16s where it started.
Yes.
And it was we qualified. We beat, I don't remember who we beat, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 teams to get to the championship finals. So we got to the finals and we were grouped against Israel, Switzerland and Germany, and it was in Germany. And I played really well, playing centre midfield, scored 2 goals, scored a goal against Israel. I scored a winner against Israel to beat them 2-1. We got beat 2-1 by Switzerland, but I scored a goal, and then we got beat 1-0 by Germany in front of 26,000 people at Werner Brennan Stadium, and it was unreal. And then you start to get a real feel for the game, and wow,
as well.
Yeah. Warren Feeney was playing up front with Gary Hamilton, you know, with a really good team at that time. So we did. Mm-hmm. So we did really, really well, and then the confidence was there then. So it was literally a couple of weeks later after that was finished, and I had moved over to Swindon. Yeah. So I went over with full of confidence, but then pre-season did really well. The youth team, Steve McMahon brought me into the first team within 2 weeks.
Right, that quick?
As a 16-year-old. I was on the bench for the first game of the season in the championship against Nottingham Forest for their first game. So I did really well in pre-season under 16. I actually walked out with Pierre Van Hooydonk. He was signed for Nottingham Forest, and he was on the bench for 4.5 million back in them days, which was huge money.
Yeah, 100%.
And he was on the bench, and I'm walking out on the bench alongside him, and I'm going, a superstar player for
What's so mental, isn't it?
Yeah. He played for Celtic, and I grew up and all in Celtic, and he was a legend up our way, and I'm standing out beside him after pre-season I went to start. So the first game of the season, it was after 6 weeks of pre-season, and the first game, and I get named on the bench. So it was amazing as a 16-year-old.
Surely there's no better way to start and get brought into a first team scenario than what's just happened. Like, for any kid going over, you're usually thinking there's going to be a period where you're going to struggle. Yeah. There's going to be this hard pass. You have to get through it. You're going to go up. You're going to lose confidence. You're going to get your confidence back again. You may make it to the 18s this year, and then after this, you may go into reserves. Yeah. Some people don't. But
it's all changed. From you have to remember, this happened. I moved over there in '97. So the game's moved on. It's nearly 30 years ago. Yeah. So the game's moved on from then. We used to weigh in. There was the only kids that were involved in it was your local Swindon kids and maybe a couple of people an hour and a half outside there. And then you had a couple of Irish kids as well from Dublin. And then there was 3 of us actually came over from Northern Ireland. And at that time, so they were starting to branch out, but most of them were all based in Swindon. But when you think about the game now, when England for years they were bringing in foreign kids and all from everywhere. Now they've had to stop that from Brexit a wee bit, but it was completely different back then, you know, so you had a bit more of a chance as well, but it was nowhere near as professional as what it is now. The food and all, and we still used to go, if we were away at a game and I was a kid at 17 and we were, say, playing away to whoever it was, and it's like, say Birmingham, because they were in the championship at the time, we had to travel on the bus maybe 2 hours or 2 hours to get to Birmingham from Swindon. See, after the game, you would have stopped at a chippy. That's deadly serious.
Just go get something.
100%. That's what happened. They stopped at a chippy in Birmingham, and after a game in the championship in front of 20,000 people, and all the lads were getting like chicken and chips or sausages and chips and things like that, salt and vinegar everywhere, bread and butter, and they're on the bus eating it. You couldn't even imagine that now. And then there was always a carry-out in it too. So if you got a good result, he would have said, lift up the carry, give them a few beers on the way back as well, after they have their chicken and chips, or their face and chips, or their sausage and chips. That was a regular occurrence,
Should we not do that now?
I'd love that. That's a gap in the bad, so I'd step at
everybody at Ballymacash. I might go myself.
Somebody hit me with a bowl of pasta, kicked out of their hand. Move that now.
Talk to me about getting in the squad then. Like, everything's went skyrocketed for you. You must be in dreamland. You're thinking, I'm about to make my appearance here, and obviously you're probably not on massive money at this stage. You're kids, you're just in it, but it's more just about being there, getting some games. But you're about to potentially make your debut. What's that like?
Oh, it was amazing. But again, everything was going so rosy for me. Like I say, is everything from school, 14, 15, 16, everything seemed to go up and then get to the first team. And it was an amazing feeling, and you're going to yourself, I have a chance here. I'm playing with these, and I feel as if I'm not out of my depth. I feel comfortable. Yeah. But then that's only the start of it. There's also another side there where I never knew anything about. And you spoke about being homesick. But see, when you're riding that wave and everything's positive, you're not homesick.
No, you're fine.
It's when something happens negative to you, and you're over there on your own, and how do you deal with it? And these are the issues that I try and speak to people about over the years, because they're very, very real. They're very real. So they are for even the most confident kid. You imagine you're flying, the ring's going well, and something impacts you negatively, you don't know how you deal with it as a 16-year-old. You can go back to, training's over, something's happened, you're fighting with a first team member, the boss is hammering you, you've did something wrong, you get a bad injury. There's so many scenarios that can go wrong with you. You can meet a girl, you might fall in love with her, and then she could ditch you.
Yeah.
There's but I've seen all these scenarios, every one of them, I've seen them all, and I've seen her impact on people really negatively. Now, that scenario never happened to me, thank God, but in terms of the injuries that happened to me, I was flying and got a bad ankle injury and was out for about 3 months when I was flying, and my heart was broke because you couldn't go out and train.
Yeah.
Ankle was out like a bop. It was ligament damage, and the first time it ever happened to me, and it took me between 10 and 12 weeks to recover from it. But see, that 10 or 12 weeks, you're out of the fold.
Yeah. You're
in a physio room, you're a kid, you're doing your bits and pieces and you're on crutches, and then all of a sudden you're going back to your house and you're lying on the bed. You had no mobile phones back in them days, so you had to try and get your family on the house phone or whatever, and then your dad's out working during the day, and your mum could have been there looking after my younger sisters and stuff, and she could have been away bringing them to school, and you're trying to phone and no one's in the answer, but you're not working.
Yeah.
You're only at the training ground for an hour and a half, 2 hours, getting a wee bit of rehab, and then you're getting shipped up a road, or you're going to the gym.
Bedroom, man.
Yeah, you're stuck in a bedroom. So there's another side of it that's not all rosy in the garden.
Yeah.
And it impacts so many people that's the negative side of it, of trying to be a professional footballer.
How did that impact you though?
No, it was tough. I'm not going to lie, it was tough. At that time, you were going, what do I do to get my day in? Times you were watching videos or films, or maybe going to the cinema to get your time in. But that's how people get hooked on gambling and stuff. You hear people getting hooked on gambling.
Massive.
I was never one of them people. Never. Thank God, I'm still not like that now.
Also the same. I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I just hate to lose 10 quid.
Well, that's it. Well, I would do 10 quid or a fiver and not think about it. But if somebody said to me, "You're going to spend £100 on the bet," and I'd lost, I would be devastated.
Yeah.
So I would really kill me. So I just wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. Some people, whatever the reason is, get addicted to that, but I didn't. But that can be another downfall. Drink can be a downfall. You know what I mean? Going and eating bad food and not training can be a downfall. All these things that you have to stay so focused on when you're down.
Yeah.
They can all impact you negatively. So they can. But it is tough.
Especially from where I think we are, and I've spoke about this plenty of times before. It's like Northern Ireland's very homely.
Yeah.
And everybody is very close to their families, aren't they? So
Yep.
whenever you take a kid out of that situation and then they don't have somebody to go to, like you see all the kids in Swindon, they're going home to their families.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And the other thing, without hammering the Swindon people, when I was over, I was in a wee bubble for weekends. I was over constantly. But you were over flying in on a Friday night and then settling into digs or whatever. And then you were getting up on a Saturday and you're going to play a match. And then you're maybe going to a Swindon first team game. And by the time you did everything, you were exhausted. But you knew you had a game to play on Sunday. So you actually wanted to watch a bit of TV, get a bit of food and go to bed.
Yeah.
So that was the routine. But then you got up on a Sunday and went to the academy and played another game on the Sunday before you flew back. So that was a routine all the time, which was brilliant. But when you have to live there and then start to meet people, and they live a different way to us, and that's the one thing I noticed right away, that Swindon people weren't as friendly. It was like southwest England. And I always used to say to myself, when I went up north, people were like us. They wouldn't go talk to you in the street or talk to you, what's happening, blah, blah, blah. Well, Swindon people were definitely different. It's like London, are harder to mix in with. It's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad thing, but when I look back at it, I went, I wish I had moved up north, like northwest or somewhere like that, or even up somewhere like Newcastle, where there were more like our type of people.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that better.
Did you have anybody at that stage before you had signed advise you from a football background who had maybe been there? Do you think that that's something that's like terribly missing? I mean, it's probably more introduced now.
Yep.
But like for kids going away, the idea of having somebody that like advise you at a good level, who's been there, done it, been around, it seems like it's something that should be essential.
I think so. Me and Gary spoke about this loads of times and say, but then again, the kids want to listen to you at that age. They think they know everything. I would have thought I knew everything when I was 15 or 16 when you know nothing. And maybe they will want to speak to you, maybe the parents will want to speak to you, maybe they don't. But I think it would be critical. It's a good tool to have, especially when people have walked them walks and everyday life where Gary's did it, I've did it. I ended up over there for 5 years living. I was there from 16 to 21 before I came back home. And so that it was, my career was strange because I nearly broke the mould of the, say, if you get to 20, 21, it's more likely you'll have a full career in England. Where I did the hard 5 years and then jumped in the car and came home. was typical of me. I just had enough of it.
I'm ready to go, and it's like no one come back.
Yeah, because at that stage I'd probably played 30 league games and been on the bench maybe 70. So, you know, I've been involved in it quite a bit over the 5 years. You know, I had a lot of experience. But I just threw the head up at 21 and just says, I've had enough of this here.
But why?
Probably shouldn't have.
But why do you think that you did that, like, psychologically? What made you want to come back? Because, like, surely at that stage you're playing championship, you're playing, as you say, you're quite regular, you're in the first team near enough every week. Yeah. You're on the bench, you're making pointers, you're getting bonuses, you're getting whatever it is. But
there's stories behind it, and, you know, there was a lot of change at Swindon. When I was there, we had 6 managers in 5 years, and it was pretty tough for a young kid to deal with that, you know what I mean? And I had to go through all them stages of, it was just unfortunate. Says Steve McMahon was brilliant for me, and then he got sacked at the end of maybe the first year or the second year. He had given me my debut. He put me on the bench but never played me quite a bit, and then he gave me my debut away to Norwich.
Yeah.
For about the last 25 minutes, he brought me on 65 minutes. And that was some going because Carrow Road was bunged to the doors. And it was like April time, and I just turned 17 at Christmas. And then about April time when he actually gave me my first run out in the first team in the championship. And that was amazing. That was unreal. You're standing warming up at Carrow Road and the place is bunged. It was 25,000 and you're going, wow, this is unreal. And then you had your ups and downs right through that. New manager up, new manager down, new manager up, new manager down. And
constantly probably feeling like you have to go again.
Yeah,
press.
Yeah, it was difficult.
Again, I've got myself in, now I have to start again.
Yeah. So that happened, and we had Colin Todd as a manager for a year. He was a Bolton manager. And then we had Andy King was manager. And then I got Neil Ruddock and another Liverpool connection, Roy Evans, who was Liverpool manager. So the M2 came in as Roy Evans was a manager and Neil Ruddock was assistant. And Roy Evans took to me right away. And he was the one that gave me my most game time.
Okay.
And that was brilliant. It was a time when the ITV Digital came out. You wouldn't remember before your time. That came out like a TV thing and a lot of money got pumped into it. But it folded after a while. So all the championship teams in League Ones were getting this money. And he was in for a long time, for about most of for one season. And then Andy King was the manager before him, so it was a wee bit iffy with him. He was sort of getting around about but not much. He went on gardening leave because he had a big contract. That took Roy Evans and Neil Ruddock for a year. I was flying, and then something happened in the board, ITV Digital. We didn't know what was going on. Next thing we heard, Ruddock and Roy Evans are away. Everybody's devastated. We were on a bus going, I think it was away to Oldham. And next thing, Andy King jumps back on the bus. The previous board had brought him straight back in because he was on gardening leave and he's getting paid that whole year.
So it's like,
and they liked him, whoever was on the board, and brought him straight back. And he jumps on the bus, I'm back, lads. I'm sitting there going, oh no, this isn't good. So I had agreed a contract with Roy Evans and Neil Ruddock maybe a month before that. New contract again, like I did every time at Swindon.
Yeah.
He came in for the last 5 or 6 games this season. And then he called me in a week before. This is why I did it. He called me in a week before. We're playing Hull City in the last game. And he said, I know you've been offered a contract. I know you've agreed with the club, but you haven't signed it. And I'm terminating it. He says, I know it's harsh for you as a kid. He says, but they have offered you £750 a week back in them days. He says, I could put that towards getting a senior player. And he says, I'm going to pull back on it. And I just goes, I've been waiting on that. But you've been here for 5 or 6 weeks and you do it a week before the end of the season. Yeah. Knowing I've been here 5 years as a kid coming through the youth team, knowing I have no agent and I don't know what to do with all this.
Yeah. And
he says, I've got a Hull coming to watch you and you're playing against them. That's what he said to me. We played against him. He started me that game. We drew 1 each with him and I set up the goal for us. So I played quite well. All my friends and family came over. But I came back to him and I goes, did anything come to Hull? And he goes, nah, I didn't hear anything. And I was like, he's just asked I set me up, you know what I mean? So then I broke me. And then I got my car by the time I was driving and all, packed my car. I was living with a family for 5 years. I stayed with them and jumped my car and I says, mate, don't be putting ahead, you know, there's more football here and we'll get you looked after. And Swindon says they look after. But I packed all my stuff and
just done.
Never came back.
Overnight, just done straight in.
Yeah, got the boat to Liverpool and then came straight home.
See, whenever you did leave though, obviously you're upset that you had to leave. You obviously loved it there, you enjoyed it. 5 years is a long time, but was there no other clubs that then came in for you even though you'd went home?
Yes. Hereford came in and offered me a contract, so I got the phone call when I was back about 3 weeks. Hereford were in League 2 and I said, whereabouts is Hereford? And they went, it's in even further country out in Swindon. And I was going, Swindon's pretty out of the way. And I went, no, you're alright. And then Raleigh McFall came and met me at Portadown. They had just won the league.
Okay.
And he had said, if you stay, I'll give you this contract and thing. And My brother had quite a bad fall and near died around about the same time. He was a roofer and fell through a roofing banker, 40 foot. Right. So he's a year older than me, and that impacted me hard at the same time. So I think them two hit me hard.
I was like,
and
come back home.
I'll just come back home, yeah.
Safer option to be around people, too, isn't it?
Yeah. That was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can say, you can go, I look at Grant McCann, who was around about my age, and we played together and roomed together, and he's had a great career. And he had the ups and downs, and he stuck at it, and I've nothing but respect for him. And he's a great life over him, met his woman over her family, and all the rest, and he's did fantastic.
He's still
coaching and managing, great career.
Yeah.
But he had to put in the hard yards, where I came back home, but then I wouldn't have met my wife, I wouldn't have my 3 children. So I'm blessed on what I do. I wouldn't have the career I had here, and then the coaching career I've had here. My work life's decent too, so I'm very privileged to have a good life. So there's no regrets on that side. It's just, that's the way my life panned out.
Moving back though, obviously the first person you speak to, as you just touched on, there's probably Ronnie Fall. Mm-hmm. What was that like, potentially being like, I'm going to come back, Ronnie's the first man? Mm-hmm. I always remember him, he always had like loads of rings and jugby and all that. And he was like Mr. T.
Bo Jingles, I used to call.
He's like Mr. T. I remember meeting him as a kid, and I was like, you're so big, and scared me. Like, he just had chains, and I was like,
he scared everybody, even the way he talked. He was
so lovely.
He was.
When you meet him, you're like, why was I ever
afraid of him? And he had on, but seeing him his lovely wife,
was there, yeah.
Oh, they were brilliant, and I would have done anything to help you out back then and all. But
was it no brainer to go, like, to speak to him and think, right, I'm definitely done now, I'm back?
I have to remember, I was from West Belfast and I grew up with Newhill, and then my club would have been Donegal Celtic, because I was at La Salle and Andytown, and all our cup finals and everything would have been at Donegal Celtic. And people I knew would have drunk in Donegal Celtic. Yeah. But a lot of kids would have supported Cliftonville, but I never no affiliation with Cliftonville at all. Nothing. Like, no, never went to a game, knew nothing about the club, even though it was only a 10-minute drive across town. Mm-hmm. All my life was that way towards West Belfast, not that way towards North. And I was more a DC man, and I would have supported DC and watched the Emmons play at a lower level. But I knew nothing about the Irish League when I came back home. Absolutely nothing.
But when you came back home, was DC in the Premiership?
No.
Couple of leagues below.
Yeah. So I knew nothing about that. And then when I came back to the Irish League, I'm going, I don't really know anybody here. And yes, I played for Northern Ireland at the time, under 21s, but I didn't know anything in terms of the Irish League or who to speak to or whatever. I just went, sure, maybe my phone will ring. You know, and it did ring. It was actually Marky Collins. Phoned Raleigh and said Big Mackers is back, you want to phone him and try and get in there. And then I think Roy Coyle phoned as well at Glentoran, but by the time he had phoned, I'd already agreed with Raleigh that I was going to sign for him. It shook his hand, so I said it was too late at that time. But Roy Coyle actually phoned me when I was in Swindon when I was in 20, thinking I was going the year before coming back home, and I said no, and give him another contract. So I ended up just signing for Portadown for that year. And then at the end of this first season back, I wasn't overly happy at Portadown when I stayed, because the training and stuff wasn't as, because I was used to a certain way of training for 5 years at a professional level.
You're saying it wasn't professional?
No, it wasn't at all. But in terms, Raleigh had it done a brilliant way. He won a league and won so much with that team, but at that time, a couple of boys came, Vinnie Arkins and Dean came up from Dublin. Some teams got a Tuesday night off, and then boys would have working and saying they were working overtime, and somebody was minding their granny. And then next thing you know, there was 8 people training, and you're going, how are we meant to win a league if there's 8 people training here? Or, you know, and that was frustrating, because I had Gary Hamilton and Kane Leal, and we never missed training, but we used to laugh about it. Like, we used to go, this is mental. There's 10 players here, not waiting for training on Tuesdays. Put your head away. And then, so I decided it wasn't for me. I was going to try something else, and Glentoran and Linfield came in for me then that summer. And then I make a decision between Glentoran and Linfield then.
What I want to talk to you about is the decision that you make. Obviously, everybody knows you obviously went one way other than the other. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? But how close were you to potentially going to the Glens? What conversations were had between Coyle, David, and what made you pick Linfield?
Yeah, I went and met both of them. I went and met Coyle, and he was dead on, but he was hard, really, really hard. I got from him. They had won the league and they had a really good team, and I looked at their team and looked at their squad. And
who would have been in there, not to jump in front of you, but who would have been playing centre mid at that stage in your thinking?
Scotty Young would have been there. He was flying for them at the time, and Big Lockhart, and he was quality as well. There was a few more as well. Tim McCann would have been there. I'm trying to think who else in my memory. I'll walk out of here and I'll name you everybody, you know what I mean? But they're a really good team. They had won that, I think they won the league that year, and Portadown won the year before, but they were first and second, and Linfield were out of it a bit. They were maybe sitting 3rd or 4th at that stage. Okay. And Davey was under a bit of pressure to try and bring the Gibson home back to him. So I met Roy. He was really tough. You could see why well with things. He was just straight to the point. I want you in, I'll work you hard, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll make you the best player you can be, but it'll be tough, all this stuff. It was good, it was decent. Like, you realise that's why that man's won so much. You know, he was old school, hard hitting, but knew exactly what he wanted from people, knew how to manage and knew how to win trophies, and you're going, right, okay. But then I went Matt Davey, and he was a different approach, but very similar to what we needed, a championship, but he was very, very tough, but also loving on that side of it. I think they had finished fourth, and I was going, or it could be a wee spot in centre midfielder for me at this time. Timing's everything when you say for a club as well. Sure. And I thought, when I looked across the Glentoran and seen what they had there, and looked at Linfield, I thought, you know, I can get into that team and make them better. And that was my thought process behind it. Yeah.
From whenever I joined Ballymacash at the time and I met David, his approach probably was very different when I met him than when you did. Mm-hmm. And when you say that he was quite tough, but he still had that loving factor to it, what do you mean by that?
You knew he was under pressure to win a league, and he obviously, me and him were getting to know each other in that meeting, and he was telling me all about himself, that he was a captain in 10 years and Linfield and won trophy after trophy, but he wanted to really make it as a manager and make it as best he could be. And he would stop at nothing to get there, and he would stop at nothing to make sure he got there. And he says, do you want to win trophies? Do you want to be successful? Yes, this is what I want more than anything. If I signed for Linfield, there was also a fear factor for me, because at that time there was nobody in West Belfast that had signed for Linfield ever. You know what I mean? Pat McShane was up at the top of Twinbrook, and he was up there, but I'm talking about in the heart of across the road, where a lot of people hated Linfield at that time. And before, for many years, you know, I lived in Ballymurphy, grew up in Springfield Road, Falls Road, Ballymurphy, and it was all completely wow, Linfield, are you serious? Something wrong with you?
The tracksuits on the Saturday and head down.
Yeah. I used to go into the bookies with a tabby away track on it for the crack, and meet Clivenville ones and all, Conor Downey or Barry Johnson there, and their Clivenville tracksuits, I'm in my Linfield tracksuit. The place is bung back in them days. You were allowed to smoke. You couldn't see a thing at 12 o'clock. There was 200 people in getting their football bats done, and the slag and was brilliant. That was without a drink, and we all loved that. So it was all good banter, you know what I mean? I really enjoyed that. But I always tell the story about going down a meeting, Davey, and going up to my dad's barn at Falls Road, and he says, where were you? And I says, they're meeting David Jaffrey. And he goes, I down on. I says, no, I'm serious. And all his mates are sitting there. And he goes, David Jaffrey, right enough, you done it. Why didn't you tell me? I says, I could just kept it to myself. So what do you think? I says, I really loved it. I says, do you think our windows would be okay? But I was deadly serious. That's what I said at that time. And my dad goes, he goes, well, do you want to sign? And I went, I think I do. And he says, well, don't worry about anything else. He says, if you want to sign, you go and sign. Don't worry about nothing. Everything will be all right. Well, that's what I said to him.
At least you had a car enough to be like,
it'll be all right, though. And the word everybody was brilliant. And I'm talking about the locals up the road and all, fair play to you, trying to get help, make change and start that change, you know what I mean? And that's what I want to do. But on the flip side of it, when I went over to there, I needed to be successful. Yeah. And that was my tool. That was my drive. I had a massive target on my back, and I couldn't fathom the thought of failure. It just would not enter my mind. And I had some tough times at Linfield with injuries, but when I get into the team, I did quite well for the most part. But injuries at the start cost me a wee bit. But even when I was out, the injuries, I was going, I can't field here. See all the boys will slag a life for me, left, right, and centre. And I can't have this. And that was my motivation. That was my motivation when I was at Linfield.
What was it like for you, though, going from, as you said, as a community aspect of things, where you're saying they all want you to do well, but there's a target in your back? Mm-hmm. What was it like from the opposite side, from the Linfield fans, from a young lad from West Belfast, as you say, in the heart of Ballymurphy, going to Linfield?
Yeah,
it must have been difficult.
Yeah, but I'm telling you now, the people from day one couldn't have been any better than me. I still speak to them now. I work on Butcher Road and Holiday and Fisher, and a lot of men come in, they're builders. I work on a builder's merchant, plumber merchant, and builders come in every day, roofers, joiners, plumbers, gas engineers, to get everything from us. And we still speak about it to this day and talk about what's happened years ago, what's happening now. That relationship's always there. Yeah. And yeah, it's been amazing. But they were amazing from day one. I would have walked into Shankill by the end of my career, 27, 28, and getting, well, what's happening, big man? How are you? Going to a bar or brought over to a supporters club and treated like royalty. I walked down the Falls and the one that got nothing, where I'm from. It was strange how that worked out that way, but that was the truth. Like, it was mad.
Your time at Linfield is probably one of the most successful times throughout the Irish League history. Linfield dominated week in, month in, year in.
Yeah, at that time, but there was ups and downs in that as well, the football, and there was big ups and downs as well along the way, but more ups and downs. But You know, I look back to Morgan Day and getting beaten that second last day of the season. We needed a draw to win the league. They needed a win.
Yeah.
And we were 2 each getting into it. And Chris Morgan, who was with us the year before, corner kick, last throw of the dice for the Emmons, and comes out to a header, save, and it falls at his feet and he knocks it in. And it's just chaos. And I've never been more devastated in anything in my life. Absolutely, there's nothing you could do. The league was lost. Morgan Day. The league was lost. And it just like that, we only needed a draw, and we're going, just see us corner out here, and we didn't see it out. They would go on win the league. They needed a win, we needed a draw. Now, you couldn't rate it in the stars. And to be involved in that was unbelievable.
But to say, the competitiveness from day one to go the whole way, the point within it, it must have been...
Oh, it was heartbreaking.
So incredible, but to get there...
What a win for the Emmons, for Glentoran to do it that way, but heartbreaking for us. And, you know, that was fuel for what we did further on down. You know, after that happened... most other teams would actually crack and fall apart, where we went the other way. We actually sat in the change room a lot because the fighting all kicked off after it, and it was murder outside.
What fight?
No, fans at the end of Morgan Day. It was chaos.
No.
I
haven't heard this yet.
I was trying to hide away from it. Just if you look back on it, you'll see them all killing each other. But we went in the changing room, and you could hear all the noise outside. Glentoran's going absolutely mental, and we're sitting in the Glentoran changing room, and you've never felt pain like it.
Yeah.
Of 30 men sitting there, devastated.
Silence.
David Jaffrey couldn't even say a word.
Yeah.
He was absolute, and the man of his stature who loves a yarn or two, he couldn't open his mouth, and we're all completely devastated. It was one of the worst ways to lose a championship. Like, I can't see too many more than losing that the way we lost that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we used that as fuel, as fire in our bellies. And then we went on, instead of feeling sorry for ourselves, we went on and won the Satanta Cup a few weeks later by getting through to the final, playing Shelburne, who were flying Champions League and all the rest of it. They were full time. What a team they had. And we got to the final against Shelburne down in their home patch, and everybody thought we were going to get tanked.
Yeah. And
everybody goes, flip it. Linfield are 6-1 or something in the final. Yeah. It might have been more on some bookies, it might have been 9-1. And we went down and beat them 2-0 in their own patch. And from going a couple of weeks earlier to being devastated, to being top of the world, to winning the Satanta Cup for the first time, and making sure Linfield won the first one, and the party we had down in Malahide and the Grand Central Hotel is, I don't think it'll be surpassed. It was unreal. I don't think anybody had a wink of sleep from after the game right through to on the bus on Sunday at 12 o'clock. You know, nobody could string two words together. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that then kicked us on to have the clean sweep the next season, when obviously it's only been done twice in 120 years. It was done 63 and then 2005, 2006.
Well, leading into that season, when you say you go into the Satanta Cup, you have just narrowly lost the league. How do you get yourselves prepared to go into that game and think that you can win?
I don't know. We talk about this and we still talk about it regularly. How did we get that mental capacity to actually do that?
Like within 3 weeks of you being pretty much exhausted, like you're thinking, like there's probably...
They're in the middle of their season.
Aye. And they're flying. So you've probably taken, you're just training then, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's mad. It's actually mad to think how we did it and we still speak about how did we actually do that.
Do you think it's because of the players that were in the team, or do you think it's because of like Davey and Brand and their influences that way, plus the players that were able to obviously buy into it? Yeah.
I think it was fear as well. Well, when you feel it in Linfield, you could be out the door, and you don't want to be out the door. And we talk about being in the best clubs, and I'm sure people don't want to leave Larne now. When you look at Larne and see what they have, the facilities and all, and they're full time. You know, when I'm sure the manager shows a player the door out there, they're devastated. So we were no different. We wanted to stay at Linfield because we had all the best facilities and we had the best of gear, and we were paid well, and we had everything.
More money.
I never get paid much because it was a waste. Well, I mean, they give me milk tokens, but no. So you didn't want to leave. So all that kicked in, and Davy's professionalism and Brian's professionalism and Alfie Whaley and all, they had to regroup us and get us back together. But you also had Noel Bailey, Winky Murphy, Glenn Ferguson, Pat McShane. You'd Darren Murphy, you'd big characters. Michael Galt had just come into the team, was a big character, you know, and you had characters there that didn't want to leave the club. So you had to pick yourself up. If you don't pick yourself up and you feel sorry for yourself, Davy's sending you up a road.
Yeah, and he showed us that way.
He would have been. Yeah, he would be as good as goal to you, but if you feel for him, he's ruthless. You're out the door. You know how he works, and that's the way it should be. There's no room for complacency, and so I think that drove us on. And you know, we see that why Winky Murphy and Noel Bailey and Glenn Ferguson and Pat McShane, we see why they're legends, what way they picked everybody up and got them going again and got them winning games of football to get to the final, and then going down and putting in the performance we put in down there was unreal. He had no Kane come in from Ardon at the same time as me. He was unbelievable too. There was so many of them, and yeah, it was unbelievable to do what we did. Really was.
For that to lead into you doing the clean sweep, as you say, it's done twice in history. Like, what's that like? Oh, because that will probably, like, more than likely, well, it can't be done again. Stanley Cup doesn't exist.
No.
But I mean,
in that full year, well, I think it was slightly 2 different years, but it was the end of that season because there was no in between everything. So in that calendar year, to win 5 trophies in a row after Morgan Day, I don't think it can be beat. Well, listen, I only speak for myself, but the win after what happened to you on Morgan Day, most teams would have folded.
Yeah.
And we actually went on to win. Like Morgan Day, the Glentoran fans are going, this is unbelievable.
100%.
What a day for us to do this on Linfield. Like, you'll never get a better day than this in their history. That's what the Glentoran fans are singing and dancing and all the glory and everything. But yet did they know within 12 months, that Linfield team who's just get absolutely hammered and devastated from what happened is going on to win 5 trophies in a row. It's only been done twice in 120, 30 years. Like, that was the kickback from it, and I think that's why it's so special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially against the good Glentoran team, good Cliftonville teams, good Portadown teams. To do what we did was really unreal.
Was there much changes to the starting 11 that would have finished Morgan Day? To the pretty much the consistent team that would have run through that stage where
I think a big part of it as well was bringing Davy. Then changed instead of having wingers, he changed to 4 central midfielders. He brought in Owen Kearney and Tim Mountsie, but Owen Kearney and Tim Mountsie were 2 central midfielders. The both of them will tell you that their careers, that's where they wanted to play. But Owen Kearney was a left-footed central midfielder who could get up and down and score goals. But I was also a central midfielder who could get up and down and score goals. Tim Mountsie was a centre midfielder who could get up and down and score goals. Michael Galt was more of a winner, but he could score goals as well. So Davy and his plan said, I can't put Mackers out wide left because he can't get up and down the pitch because he called me the slug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had no pace to get up and down the pitch, so I needed to stay in the middle. And Galty, he says, I'll have Galty beside him because he's more energy and more aggressive than Mountsie and Owen Kearney.
Okay.
So we'll have Galt beside McAreavey and he can do all that hard rods and all the rest of it.
That's what they always say this. I don't think people give you enough credit. They always say, Galty done all your hard work, give you the ball, and then, I don't know why, it's probably a better thing, and then they give you the ball, obviously, and then you were able to do what you did.
No. But then again, you wouldn't give the ball to Michael because it would have ended up in the Rosetta or something. Sorry, Michael, I'm joking. But no, Galty was a quality player, but I love playing with him. He's the best player I ever played with in terms of my centre midfielder and all that time. I loved going out with him every Saturday as my partner in the middle of the park. We just felt nobody could beat us at that stage. We were at a really good stage in our lives where we're going, nobody can beat us at the minute here.
You know what I mean? The top of people.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the way it felt like for a period of time, like for maybe 3 or 4
It's quite strange for somebody at that stage to take out wingers because like he probably would have had Sturdy King.
Yeah,
like Pickney would have been there.
Tommy Stewart could have played out there. There was more.
But they're like renowned people who
Chris Kingsbury,
like keep pace, want to get forward, take the ball and put balls in their box, and they're going, we're just going to go with 3-4 centimetres here.
Also, every one of us at the time, I think I was as small as the 6 foot. Galty was 6'1", Mountsie 6'2", Owen 6'3".
Was he just trying to be physical?
Oh, physical, strong, but every one of us could play. It was just lucky that some people call it lucky. I don't think it's lucky because he signed them all, and his staff and his scouts signed all of us for that reason. Big, strong, athletic midfielders who could go forward and go back and get on the ball and play. Every one of us were comfortable on the ball.
So who was playing up front then? Obviously Spike and
Peter Thompson.
Yeah.
Then you had Noel Bailey and Winky Murphy in the heart of the defence, Pat McShane on the left, and either Jim Irvin or Stephen Douglas on the right. And then you had Aidan O'Kane who was coming in as well at that time, and Chris Kingsbury. I think at that stage, Perky and Shirley King had moved on at that stage. Right, okay. So it was like,
it's just a team. Whenever you think back to that team then and what those players have done or managed, even careers that they've had where they're at now, they're all Irish League, like complete Irish League legends.
Yeah, and they deserve every bit of it. They just steamrolled, and it's funny because some people say to me, "Oh, it was crap back in the day," and I laugh at it and I go, "Seriously?" And you go, "Look at that Portadown team who you had Hamilton and Fitzgerald and Mickey Collins and all, and you look at the Glentoran and the teams they had and all that same time. We were every bit as strong, if not stronger than what it is now. But there's more there's more professionalism in the game now than there was them years. You know, everything's changing in terms of how you eat, how you train on 4G pitches. Everything's monitored. You have your monitors. We never had none of that. You know what I mean?
But I don't think that you need that.
No.
If I'm going to be completely honest, maybe to a certain extent, if you use it properly, yes.
No.
But since you've brought it up, one thing I have to ask is head to head. You take your Linfield team against Larner top of league now.
Yeah.
One game. What happens?
I think we won.
You think you just run away with that?
Yeah. But then again, it's different eras. So I'm not disrespecting them Lauren players. I watch them and I really enjoy them.
No,
they're good players. So
it's a different type of football.
A different type of football now. They might be able to tactically outdo us because we were a battering rams. We were a 4-4-2. We know where we needed to be. But in every part where we needed to be, we had it. So I'm going to say, you put the Lawrence centre half up against Glenn Ferguson when we pump a ball into front of him. Is he going to beat Glenn Ferguson? Is he going to take the ball off him? I'm yet to see it in all my years of playing. He was an absolute superstar, and I mean superstar. Harry never played in England or in Europe is beyond me.
Yeah.
He had everything. So he did. He could ping balls wide, he could hold it in, he could head, he could run into the box, he could put it in the top corner, he could score from 6 yards, headers galore he scored. His feet, left foot, right foot, he had it all. But he was a beast. He was an absolute beast. He just constantly, you couldn't get the ball off him, honestly. Couldn't get the ball. And then Peter Thompson running everywhere and every season scoring 40, 50 goals. I still think Peter will score 40 or 50 goals if he plays now.
Yeah.
No problem. You know what I mean?
Some people just have it, don't they?
Yeah.
It's the knack for scoring.
Yeah. And he's just,
at that stage, you had the two best.
Yeah. And his nickname was Shin because he used to come off his shin and everything and go into the net. That's what his nickname. We called him Shin. Yeah.
I had to get lucky.
And then, yes, technically in the middle of the park now, you could play three midfielders against two, maybe against me and Galt.
But then again, if you think about it, then you would be able to do the same things, like playing a 4-2-3-1 or a 3-5-3 back in. Wasn't really something that you'd done, but you had, you say, you've put four midfielders across the middle of the park. And
people get excited about systems and all, and sometimes it does work and sometimes it doesn't. Even when we play a lot of time 4-4-2, we're old school guy and we're called it, but we know how to win games. But sometimes when they're playing one up front and they have three in the midfield and they're out doing us, we send our centre back to make a third one and leave our other centre back 1v1 and take that gamble. And people go, why do you not bring in the centre forward back? And we go, because we want our two centre forwards up there causing hassle, stay high. That's what we want. We want to be positive, not negative. And we play different ways like that. So technically we could go from a 4-4-2 to a 3-5-2 if you work at it that way. So systems are all fine and well, but you need players to know what they're doing and win their battles and win their duels and make correct decisions. That'll never change, in terms of football. That'll never change. So the better players you have and the more consistent they can be on that game, you have a better chance of winning.
The more times that you're able to have worked on with these people is going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's 3 or 4 teams now that have the identity of being full-time, can work on the rotations and what they want to do, and a lot of people can't, and that's why I think that you've touched on there, being old school is not a bad way to be.
No.
Because everyone grows up playing a 4-4-2.
Yeah. Everybody
knows where the ball's going, if the right back's going to send up a line.
Yeah.
I think basics are great.
Yeah, but the best players who play football do the basics well every single game. That's why they're best. Noel Bailey played 1,000 games for Linfield.
Yeah.
And people will say, what did Noel have? Was he pacey? Was he tall? Was he aggressive? He was just consistently good. Every part of the basic game, he was the best. No one even came close to him.
No one games is fucking extreme, isn't it?
Yeah. No one came close to him. Honestly, no one. He was unbelievable.
Feet.
Yeah. He was on a different level. And
I think I did 1,000 games.
We could talk about you scoring, like, you always loved an old wonder goal from 25, 30 yards. You had that side of you too, and people go, what was Noel Bailey so good at? And I always say the basics. That's my compliment to him. Yeah. I mean, every part of the basic, Noel Bailey was a 10 out of 10. Just every single part. Never made a mistake. Any danger, out of play, knew when to pass, knew when to go long, knew when to tackle, knew when to sit back, knew when to stand up for offside. He was incredible. But his sort of, in terms of talent, was that, and his basics were just perfect.
But people do tend to overcomplicate and think that they're better in areas than what they are.
Yeah.
And that kind of kills players, doesn't it?
Yeah. And make wrong decisions because they want to do something fancy, or maybe they lose a ball twice and then they go, I've lost the ball twice, I need to do something fancy here to catch the manager's eye, catch the fans' eyes, and then that goes wrong again. All of a sudden you've made 3 bad decisions, and then you start to panic
in your head,
and then it's in your head, and then the manager's at you, and then your teammates are at you, and then it starts to get panic stations where The best players never make that happen.
Yeah.
But you go, even when I played, I always wanted to give a ball away. Once I used to go, right, when I play for a Blues, give a ball away. Make sure I give it to a blue shirt bar. It's 5 yards just to get my confidence back. Right, I'll give it away this time. Next time I can maybe do something a bit clever. But that's the way I used to think. Get the basics. Always get the basics done right before you turn in clever.
One of the things I want to talk to you about is David Jeffrey has plenty of love children. Mm-hmm. You're easily top 5. Probably top 3. Right?
And in front of you and Michael Galt, were you and Michael Galt have to be 1 and 2?
Well, me and Michael faded out there, I think. But at the same time, what was it like for you being in Linfield with Davey? You obviously had some ups, you've had some downs, you've got the hairdryer treatment. Most people have, and I think that if you're in part of his establishments at the time or managerial career, you're going to get it at some stage. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Oh, it was brilliant. Loved it. He was an unbelievable manager to play under. Probably the best, not to call a spade, not probably the best I've ever played under. Roy Evans, I loved it at Swindon. He was very, very good to me, and he was easy to talk to, and he talked sense to you about how to play and what you need to get better at. And I always found that I enjoyed that talks, all of them talks with him. I really enjoyed Roy Evans. Steve McMahon was brilliant to me when I was younger. For
so like people trying to educate you.
Yeah, and talking to you on a good level, like you're a person rather than bullying you. Like I say, there's 2 or 3 probably try to bully me at certain stages. Cantwell was maybe one of them, and definitely Andy King. Instead of trying to talk to you and be good to you, you know what I mean? Where I didn't like that, where they would have talked to you on a level as a person before a footballer. Yeah. And then if you talk to you like and treat you with respect, then you're going to give that respect back. I'd have run through a brick wall for Davey. He knows that. He doesn't need me to say it in the podcast. I'd have done anything he'd asked, you know what I mean? Yeah. I loved everything about him. As a coach, as a manager, what way he trained us. When we were doing well, you thought to yourself, we're getting a break. He worked you harder. You came in the Tuesday after having a great result and he'd run the legs clean off you. And you go, why is he doing that? It's only when you get older, you go, there's a reason why. Your mentality, keep taking over. Don't go outside your box. You're at Linfield. Oh, you had a great result on Saturday there. But do you think you're coming in here to have a wee easy Tuesday? I'll work you twice as hard on Tuesday as you did on Saturday.
Was it those 12 and 6s?
Oh, I never stopped.
I love them.
And then them doubles. Well, the doubles. Oh, the doubles. I always used to be at the back of the 12s and the 6s with Noel Bailey, and I was half his age. He used to go, Mars, get away from Noel. And he used to just shout back, Davey, I don't run around the pitch on a Saturday, mate. I don't run around the outside of the pitch on a Saturday.
Just dictating. Just Michael does that.
Just trying to get under the 12 minutes. Anybody's over the 12 minutes, and then
you're doing the extra.
You're going, what's it at? 11:56, and you just get over the lane.
Yeah.
Racked.
I hated those first few season really opened my eyes.
And it used to scare you when he walked, because he has that big march, you know, like, because he's obviously in the Orange Order and all.
You can hear him from like a mile away. He shouts and you're like,
and then he shouts, cones, and then you start to get the fear and you're doing the warm-up and he lifts the cones and he does that big march and sets him down, and they seem to get longer and longer and longer, and you're getting there going, oh no.
The Orange Order march.
That's what he had. He used to do it. You know, the arms and doing up and down.
I always remember the first year, Ballymena, it was the 12th, and we weren't. He called training off, and I remember sitting in the house, and I just remember him and his dad and his son were walking up in the middle of the shangle, and I was like, "Is that why we're off today?" And it was. And he had the orange thing on, and I was like, "He's never taken a day off here, but he's off."
He's off that. He needed off that.
Fair enough. I
used to slang him and say, "You wouldn't let us off on St. Paddy's Day, would you?"
No chance.
No chance. No. And he just give you a wee smile. No.
Well, I can do it on
But then obviously he brought me to Ballymena with him, which I was very grateful for, and him and Brian helped me so much in my coaching stage of my career, and the other side of it, learning, you know, how to work budgets and what players you need to get in and what kind of players you needed to get in and what age group and what sort of players you needed for his system and stuff. So all that was a great education for me. Unbelievable. So very fortunate.
Before we go too far, because that's something to do, it's something that interests me, is that side of things, because football comes to an end for everyone, and everybody should start to inevitably plan for what's going to happen after, whether that's work or coaching or whatever. But you obviously have to leave Linfield to go to Dundalk.
Yeah.
What happens there? Why do you leave? Was your time up, or was it?
It wasn't up, no, because we went from part-time to full-time. The full-time was up, and then I think we lost the league in 2009 to Glentoran. That was the last one we won, but I'd won 4 leagues in 6 years there, but they were both very tight. Very lucky not to win 6 and 6. But they won it. I was injured half a season. Then Dundalk came calling, and they said, "No, would you like to go down and play in that league?" But by that stage, I was in the Irish League for 7 or 8 years, and I'd won everything there was to win over and over. Davey had then offered me a 2-year part-time contract. I'd already did 6 years. So that would have got me to the 8 years. And then I needed another 2 years to get to the 10. So I was going, do you have it in me to stay in 10 years at Linfield? Or do you try something new, for the testimonial? And I went back and forward with it for about 2 months, from maybe March when I got the offer at Dundalk till I was going to make the decision at Linfield. And eventually I just took a decision at that time, because I went back and forward. It was probably the wrong decision now in hindsight, but at the time I went, imagine Dundalk did really well. They sold us this dream that the money was going to come in and we were going to build a team and do this. And I was going, would you like to win the League of Ireland? And
were they full time?
They were full time, yeah. So, and I was living in Dunmurry at the time, where I still live now. And it wasn't that long down to get to Dundalk in the mornings. Yeah. You were getting down in 50 minutes. You know what I mean? It wasn't that far. Yeah. And you trained every day, and then you played a match on a Friday night, and then you were off Saturday, Sunday, and then back in. So you worked Monday to Friday, so it was completely different. But you were getting to travel Ireland in terms of the island of Ireland, because you were playing Galway and Dublin and Cork, and so you got a lot of different trips. So it was just something that I fancied doing. Yeah. You know, when I got the opportunity, I says, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to get it. Yeah. So that was a decision I took, and I turned Davey down for the 2-year contract. But it was nothing to do with foliage or anything. I just said, Davey, I've had 6 years with you, I've loved it. Maybe give the younger midfielders a chance now, and I'll shoot on. But there was no big fallout or anything, nothing like that. It was just a football in
the idea of a testimonial at Linfield is massive. Yeah. Because in fairness, let's fill out when you're sitting thinking financially, the rewards from it are massive.
Yeah. Yeah. That, in hindsight, when it didn't work out at Dundalk, it was probably a poor decision, because then that year later, then that Celtic Tiger hit the wall and clubs were folding, and we were letting a lot of players go and all, and I was one of them. But there was a lot of players. We brought in 7 players in the summer. We went from like 11th to 4th. We did really well. Yeah. So we did. But I think we'll have another month in the league. I think we would have been fighting for the league with the team we put together. But then a lot of money got lost out of it, and the players they brought in, they were letting all of us go because they put us all on big wages. Yeah. That was one of the reasons I left, because the financial money they put in front of me on a 2-year contract was big. It was big money back in them days with bonuses, and I was going, it was big money too. But it's also a chance to go and play in that league after everything I did. So that was the decision I took, but it sort of backfired that way. Yeah.
Was there never the option to go back
to
Linfield?
I actually went back and trained, but then I got that osteitis pubis.
So that just
I killed it. Went and played a match for him. Davey needed a match one day, and he phoned me down at Windsor, and he says, can you come and play a match? We're having the club behind closed doors. And I went down and played, and I was hurting a bit, but I was able to play in the Windsor Park, and I played flipping brilliant on the game. And he goes, any chance you coming back? And I said to him, Davey, I'm actually struggling here with my groins. I don't want to say I will come back and sign for you and then getting injured. And I said, we'll never do that after what's happened. Yeah. And it actually just got worse and worse. So it was the best thing I ever did, because if I had went back and signed for him and he'd have paid me a wage, and then I'm sitting there, I'd have been raging at myself, and he'd have been raging at me too. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
And what age is this, 29?
30 odds, I think I kicked in. Yeah. Yeah. And I tried for, it was about 32 to come up back from it.
Have you started coaching?
Yeah, I started doing the coaching badges, and then went to DC, and then they got relegated from the Premier League, and I played a few games for them, but I was already 18 months, tried to come back again, tried to come back from Ballymena, played a few games, broke down again, played for DC a couple of games, broke down again with it, and then I just went no more. Yeah. But then Paul McAreavey was a manager, they got relegated, there was a financial issues there. They all walked away, and then my father-in-law was on the committee, and he had asked me, could I take a team over to help us out in the championship, because everybody had walked away. So that was my pathway into it. Okay. So I took the team then in the championship, all kids, nobody get paid. I took all kids from reserve teams, and we stayed up in the championship my first year of management at DC with nothing, not a wisher, nobody get paid a
What's that experience like?
Brilliant, loved it. Yeah. Brought in people that hadn't even been in, never played a game. Nobody had played a game in the championship. We're all kids. Okay. And then the coach I brought in, I met him, Nicky May. He's a Portadown now. He's had a good career. Okay. I brought him in with me. I met him on my coaching badges. We had a great team together and kept them up with about 6 weeks to go or something. We were relegation favourites from the off by a mile because the no team, but we ended up staying up. Yeah, stayed up comfortably. It was good. That was good feed for the first season, like. And then I gave it up because the wife had with 2 kids at that time. They were young, and wife needed a wee bit of a break, so we took a wee bit of a break out of it, and then went back to Linfield as a scout. And then when I was scouting there, Davey took a Ballymena job, and then went with him to Ballymena.
Well, that's where we obviously become quite friendly and learned a lot from you. Had a very enjoyable time with you for 2 or 3, 4
That's when I said to Davey, there's a kid down there, we're getting McMurray.
Yes. Well, it was all anger, wasn't it, in a way, but it helped. You enjoyed that?
Loved it.
What was your time like at Ballymena?
Unreal.
Like,
Loved it.
what was the best thing about it? Because obviously we done really well. It was the first time the club kind of stepped foot in history, got into Europe and stuff in a long time.
The trips we had in Europe was unreal. We'll never forget about them, will we?
No.
Because it was so new to the whole club and they hadn't been there in 40 years or whatever, was it something like that?
How different was the trips at that stage and kind of being semi-successful at Ballymena compared to being a player at Linfield?
See,
Is that
that's one here. I tried to hate all that there, and I thought we were nearly away with it. You brought that back.
I don't get it.
Yeah, you are. No, the trips with Linfield as a player were sensational because, while everybody was good players and professional, when it was time to party, the parties went on really well, and we had some unbelievable trips away in Europe and had some great results. And when you worked hard and played hard in Europe, Davey let you enjoy yourself. That's why we loved them.
This is one of the things that I never liked about Davey. And I've had this. He used to put us on the plane that night.
I know. It all changed.
Why?
I know.
Give us a night.
But because we probably got in trouble too many times. It was probably our fault. Like I can go back and I can see 3 or 4 nights. One night in Croatia there was big trouble. One night in Slovenia there was big trouble.
When you're saying big trouble here,
we got ourselves into drama with drink on us, and a lot of things happened in hotels and people getting fined weeks' wages, and just a lot of, as you would expect, lads being lads, playing in Europe, working hard all summer, getting to train like a professional, getting the flights, getting the hotels, playing big stadiums in Europe, do really well, and then just going back Mars, going to enjoy yourself, but maybe going too far at times.
I just can't believe he gave you the night out.
Sometimes we went over and stayed for a week. I think in Slovenia we were for 6 days. It was unreal. It was nearly like a holiday.
Soon I remember we went to Odd and it was straight to the airport.
It was devastating.
Sweating and you're just like, the airport now.
Because it was the chartered flights that did at that stage back then, and there was big money, and they were trying to get them back right away and save money on the hotel for that night. Probably would have cost them an extra.
Didn't he give us a bonus? So I mean, he could have spent it on the hotel.
Do you not get your bonus?
I don't think so. I'm too young to
I think I brought a few of your bonuses too.
Oh, that's good. But no, fantastic times. But it's hard to describe European trips. But when you go away on, they're different. They're so good.
They're unreal.
They are.
And when we went, we there for the Sweden one as well. We used to
were at Malmo.
Malmo. You left. Did you go to Lorne at that stage?
I left.
Sorry for throwing that in, but
unfortunately I didn't get to go to Malmo.
Some of them were brilliant. Like, we got a few trips out of them. Like, and then I was lucky with Joe at the time as well, because there was enough in the budget to send me and Joe out on the Saturday, and we weren't even to the Wednesday for the next game. So me and Joe flew out to Malmo on the Friday and got the full treatment. They were playing the Saturday night, so we had to do a match report, me and Joe were, and it was unreal. Flew out on the Friday, went to Malmo, top drawer, Sweden, into Copenhagen, flew a CAC train into Malmo, into Sweden. We had the best time, honestly. Drinking top food, treated like kings there, doing a report. Davey comes back after the match. What do you think? I says, Davey, see if we don't get beat 6, we're doing all right. And he goes, they're not that good. And I went, different level. He's in their like top European team. And he's going, seriously? And I went, aye. But Bram was away on holiday when that was on, so he was missing it. So a few times, yourself over the years, I was assistant to him when Bram was off. Bram was sick for a while as well. So I was assistant. It was so funny. I never got over it. It was one of the best ones ever. And when we went back, obviously me and Joe did that report, came back home on the Monday, and then we flew back out on the Wednesday for the game, and with all the lads training and all, we played the match. First half an hour, we stadium full. What a stadium in Malmo, absolutely beautiful in Sweden. We were flying, I swear, the first half an hour. And Davey goes, what you said, we're going to get 6, we're flying, we're doing brilliant. And I'm not joking. He said, as soon as he said it, it went, boom, goal 1-0, boom, 2-0, goal 3-0. I just looked at him and he went, oh no. 15 minutes of half time, we're down 3-0. First 15 minutes of the second half, we were down 6-0. Thought it was going to be 10. I said, Davey, don't ever open your ears again like that. I think we got away with 7-0. Yeah. So we did on the night, but it was still a great experience for the players. It was unreal.
That's so different.
That team was just different levels. It was unreal. The speed of them, the quick they were, the African players, you couldn't get near them, and the Swedish players, wingers, and they were just unreal. Like, you could tell why they played in the Champions League. They're just
There's just levels, isn't there?
Way too strong for Ballymena at that time. Like, you know what I mean? But a great experience for the players to be involved in that and see the stadium and see the atmosphere. It was unreal.
And even whenever they come back, do you know what I mean? Whenever that team has to travel to you, play over here. Oh, it's so different. It must be like,
they're looking around and going, "Fuck's sake, what's this?" I think they brought the reserve team. I think they brought the reserve team back and felt sorry for us, you know what I mean? But after the first game, but still a great experience for the players. They always loved it. And then the team we had, that's only the football side of it too. There's a whole other side of it. Eating together, training together, going to places together, having a drink after together. That's the most important thing. That all brings you together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I always loved doing the Christmas nights and all. I loved all that.
Brilliant.
It's class. It's a proper one where everybody's together. I remember, I don't think you were, did we meet you after we won the League Cup? Me and Tony. Yeah. Tony Kane, Chaos, and I think you, Davey and Bram were up in the course corner. And it was just us three, right? And Rose came and picked us up, and we ended up in Crumlin Star Show. 2 days, everybody. But you're sitting like he was like they were the only ones out. Everybody else checked it, and it was just us three. So we just sat in course corner, just
drinking away. And that was a problem with myself and Davey. Probably Bram was a wee bit later, but we and him didn't know when to stop when we went on it. And Rose didn't like getting us together because the wine was just kept going and going and going. Don't know if Davey likes that. And then the whiskey comes out after it, and then once the session's over, you can't see for 2 days. You're feeling wrecked. But there was some great things, like some great stories and memories that last a lifetime. You know what I mean? You sit back and think about some of them. You just feel stitches when they pop back into your head. Some of the things that we've actually been done.
That coaching's obviously gave you a real kick into wanting to go in at a higher level, and you do with Glentoran. You go with Gary again. Obviously, you're still together now. You've been there for years, but countless Irish Cups, European trips again, getting success as an assistant, and obviously now you're still at Ballymacash and you just won the Stealing Drums. So I think you're doing something right. Yeah, back in after a while. But what was that like getting in at Glenavon? Because you had a long period of success. The club's never done what you were able to do, and probably don't get enough credit.
Yeah, but you have to remember, I can't take credit for that because that was before my time. When Gary brought them in from struggling at the bottom of the league, a bit like Ballymena when we took them up to the higher end. Gary did similar with Glenavon, but I wasn't there at the time. It was Wendy Miller was there for a lot of it, and there was a few coaches. But then when Wendy left and went to Glentoran, he had Andy Madden, and then Andy went to Glentoran, and then I came in after 3 years at Ballymena. Gary had asked me to come working with Kay Neal and him. Like, they were two good friends of mine for a long time. So that appealed to me, because at that time a lot of the work I was doing was away from the club, because obviously Brian and Davey were in that, and I was doing match reports and looking at players, and that was my main job, and it was fairly successful. But Gary wanted me to come in as his assistant manager, get back with him, beside him in the training pits. Now, we still don't do the coaching, but we organise everything in between and get good coaches around us and tell what we need to do. We do it a certain way. Gary wants it done a certain way with me, with him, with coaches there. But we're always there on the training field. We never miss. We're always there doing it, but we'll have certain people running the sessions. And that's what Gary wanted when I went in there, and we're still doing it now to this day. But it has been successful. In terms of my time there in the 4 or 5 years, the league had changed. For Gary's own, because he was so successful, he kept losing all his best players.
Yes,
he kept losing them. He kept going to England or down south or the bigger clubs in Northern Ireland. He couldn't hold on to them because all the big lads were taking him, and he just kept having to churn out ones from the academy or ones for the amateur league. And there was no better man doing it. He was absolutely brilliant at it, honestly. And the success he had, with him winning the 2 Irish Cups, something he did in 14 and 16 was unreal. And to keep them up in the top 6, and I think he had 3 top 3 finishes for the club, and the money he had was sensational. But the academy played a big part in that, and he was the one that made that academy grow when he first took over as a manager. Everybody thought when he's taken over Glenavon, I remember clearly, and talking to him and all, Hamilton's a rocket, how's he going to be a manager? He's proved them all wrong. He's unreal. Honestly, he's so good at what he does.
I think the response that he got after having them on the podcast and people actually probably seeing the actual person behind Gary, I think no one knows him until you sit down and have a drink with him or meet him in football and see what he's like. And he's easily one of the best, but he's just a different character. But you have to get the character to understand the person.
100%. And then when you get to know him, you can't help but love him.
Yes.
He's loyal to a fault. He would do anything for you, but he keeps his circle closed and close. That's the way he is. It's just his personality. There's nothing wrong with it. He's so loyal. He'd do anything for you. Me and him's like brothers, but we have been from a young age. And he does things a certain way, but I like the way he does things. I like it. So he's sort of enclosed, and I'm the opposite. I go out and talk to anybody or meet anybody, and it works with us. It always works with us. He would be like, I would trust him with anything, and he would trust me with anything. But he's so good at what he does. When I went actually went in and worked with him, I went, wow, he is unreal. Like, I'd worked with Davey and went, Davey's on our level. But get this man's on the same level as Davey. Right. He thinks about everything, and I mean everything. And that people can't follow him because a lot of people from the outside go, guy loves a beer, he's a rocket, he does this, he does that. But he's so professional in every part of his game in terms of what way he thinks about things and how he wants a club to be run and how he believes it should be run. And he takes no corner from it. See, if somebody wants to do it a different road, you're out the door. Yeah. He's so focused on it. Of what? No, this is how I do it, and this is what we had run. Even from the academy, when he run the academy, like he spent so much time of what way you need to play, who needs to play where, what systems you need to play. So good with the parents, spent so much time with the parents, the kids. He did all them bits and pieces, and that's why they had so many good kids coming through. And he was really good for that. When I came, the league had changed that stage. Glentoran came in. That's why Wendy left for the millions. No, Lawrence spent the millions. Linfield were then going full time spending them big dough, and Glenalbyn were left behind. The no money. All their players were going the bigger clubs. All the good players Gary had, so he had to regroup and go again. But in the 4 years we were there, when the league was changing, we stayed in the top 7. We finished bottom of the top 6 every year, all 4 years. Yeah. So we did really, really well with. But that wasn't enough for the board and some fans at the time. But I was going, look, there's a real change in the structure of the league here. And what Gary's doing, the job he's doing is unreal. So be careful. Because they were saying for about the last year, and Gary don't mind me saying this, they wanted change. He was there 12, 13 years, they wanted change. I was going, be careful what you wish for. Because this man loves this club inside out. He's only focused on this club. And he wants this club to do well. He doesn't want to win anywhere else. Yeah. But they decided to make the change.
Not in a bad way to put people down because they've been in the job since. But the clubs kind of went...
Oh, it went downhill massively. And I could see that. I'm not just joking. You could go back, and I sat in the boardroom at the time, and I'm saying, listen, I don't earn enough money to really, I don't need to stay here, but I'm just telling you what I've witnessed over the last 4 or 5 years, and I've worked with Davey for 10 years. You have an unbelievable manager who loves this club, and I don't understand why you want him to leave. I actually don't understand it, and it's not because I'm his assistant. I'm just saying because I love the club. I spent 4 or 5 years there. The people within it, everything about it, the groundsmen, the women who work behind the scenes, how well you were treated, all that was brilliant. We loved all that. But obviously fans and some of the board members wanted a change, and that's okay. But just say be careful what you wish for and make sure you have to make a right decision. But it hasn't worked out for them, and looks as if we're going to get rallied. I think from we have left, we went from 7th to 10th and then 11th, and now it looks like we're going to finish 12th,
Yeah. Club's in a different position now than what you would think that it would have been. You were thinking Paddy's going to win, maybe there could be something here, but it just shows you it was a difficult job initially. So for you to consistently probably type off where you were doing, credit needed to be where credit was due. And I did touch on this at the start, and not saying it to try and blow smoke up your hole at all, but it's like you probably didn't get enough credit for the jobs that you were doing, considering everybody was transitioning to a full-time aspect, and you were still managing to
stay up there and stay there.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I truly believe that, and that's not the blow smoke, but I just call it a fact. But it also bored me too, because when I was at Linfield and when I was in the league at Portadown, I was challenged for titles, and then when we went to Ballymena for the first sort of one that was involved with Brian and Davey, we went from low down there to the top. I think it was 6th, 4th, 2nd, was it? 2nd one?
Or 2nd now, I think.
Yeah. So we were close to actually getting there. But then Ballymena got hit with that as well. I had left to go there, and then Ballymena was sort of threw out because all these teams started pumping in the millions. These big owners came in. Yeah. And Ballymena couldn't keep up with them. We couldn't. The players we were trying to get on £150 a week were now getting 350 or 400 at one of the bigger clubs. You couldn't even compete. You're going, how's this changed so quickly? And that was the hard bit. So to keep going and keep trying to get players who were out of contract here and there, or somebody fell out with somebody, to try and get them in, or going down to the amateur league and watching everybody and trying to pick a wee cracker out of the amateur league and get them on board. That's what we had to do. And we did it successfully for 4 years. But no, you're right, it wasn't enough. But it wasn't enough for me either. I'm going to myself, Gary, I'm coming up here 3 nights a week and we're finishing 7th and we're getting hammered for it. And I says, is it worth this? Is it really worth doing this? You know what I mean? That actually bored the life out of me as well. That's the other side of it. I think I was ready to leave about a year before I actually left.
Talk to me about now. Ballymacash. You got brought in. A lot of people probably thought at the time, bit of a strange appointment for you and Gaz to take that job, being where Ballymacash are. But from speaking to Gary and speaking to you and kind of how methodical you are in the process of choosing jobs that you just want to go into. You don't go into things blindsided.
No.
You analyse what the club could potentially be and what it could be, and you've obviously seen something there that has stuck with you, and already there's a bit of success after 6 months.
Yeah. When we went up, we genuinely weren't, because we would never show anybody any disrespect, but they really wanted us to go up and speak to them, and want the guy to go up, obviously, and he says, look, I'm only going with Mackers if he's coming up, and he says, just come up and speak with him, and I says, right, okay, we'll come up and have a chat, and we met them, and they were a young, ambitious board, all around about our age, in their 40s. Sometimes you're meeting with people at Ballymena and Linfield in their 60s and 70s, in their suits, and their, this is a way, and that was fine, that's what we were used to, But we went down there, and these lads were just lads and women, normal people, loved their club, loved their community. They worked so hard behind the scenes with the Ballymacash community to build a club. They had this vision of where they wanted it to be, from a grass pitch 20 years ago to the new 4G, to the stands, to the new big building that has everything in it. Like, when we turned up, we didn't know what was there.
Yeah.
And then when they walked us around it, me and him looking at each other going, wow.
What's going on, yeah.
A big brand new gym that would put Linfield to shame. A big recovery suite that would put any team in the league to shame. Big ice baths, saunas, dry saunas, recovery boots, you name it, the whole lot. We've got all the vests for you, all the top vests, all that was coming in. Full-time physio for when we were there. Never had a physio before, but there would be a physio every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. All the best of training gear. We controlled the pitch. Beforehand, it was, you were getting half the pitch, and then the other team was playing half the pitch, and this was happening this way and this was happening that way. And we were like, no, if we take this on, this is what happens.
Yeah.
The first team are elite, and everybody has to strive to get to the first team. We run the whole pitch, the whole stadium, when we're there every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It's all for us. No one can jump in on the wee side pitch here and there. Doesn't happen. And this is the reason why it happens. Took that all on board. Right. Oh, it's unreal. We really want to win the Stealing Sons. We've been trying for 30 years, and this is one trophy we'd love to win. So we went right. If hadn't even been to the final with Chagrin, they've been in the semi-final twice. So to do that after the first season was great for them, and the club was unreal. That was a great start. But ultimately, with a bigger process over the 5-year plan to try and get us to the Premier League, and we're not going to shy away from it. That's what we want.
Yeah. Well, you have the facilities are to cater for it. Do you know what I mean? And you also have a pool of players. I think the fact that you are who you are helps with your recruitment side of things. You can bring people in. There's obviously, I don't know, substantial backing. I doubt it's anything like the elites, but no, there's obviously something there which allows people to come and be comfortable and play, because you've signed good players from higher levels who obviously want to be there. Obviously missed out on some too, but one of the things that I do want to talk to you about just before we finish is how are you finding it now, being obviously we're in January. This is probably not going to come out for another 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, so we'll be in February. But in terms of you signing people talk about the wages, and it's mad how people's ideas of what they should be earning for whatever level they're at.
Yeah.
How is that as a battle, as a manager and assistant manager, thinking, we have 60 quid here for wee Jimmy, and wee Jimmy thinks that wee Jimmy's worth 160. And then you're saying, going like, sorry to break it to you, but
and that's expensive. That's expensive money as well. And you're going, we try to sell the dream in terms of you're going to be as professional as you can be, but you're third division players. Let's call a spade a spade. You're not Premier League players, and we don't show anybody disrespect of what we have did in the game, because guys in international and he's did what he's did is unreal. And I think I've had a good career too, but we would never speak about that. But some players come to you and then you're going, seriously? That's you being serious? Yeah. No, they do. You just go, listen, see that door, don't close in the way out. And they go, and they go, seriously, up and get out. Yeah. And we just go, and they go, out. I'm not joking you. Don't close that door. And they go, are you serious? Yep. Where you go. And you're just showing disrespect. But we're saying, we love working with kids in terms of young kids coming through and trying to make them better. And also the side of it was where we spoke about this at length. Finished at 7th, was born Gary too, and especially not getting the credit for it. And we were going, like, if we get a job and say it was, not being disrespectful, Portadown or Loughgall or something, even if we're in the Premier League or got them to the Premier League, we're always going to be fighting at the bottom again. Yeah. So we're going back into the same 4 years we did at Glenalvon, and it didn't do anything for us. It didn't wet the whistle to go, oh, I'd love to do that. That'd be amazing. It's going a lot of time to get the feet. New challenge. Okay. Down in a league we've never played them before. Let's see what it's like, and see Calm will bring them from the third division up the whole way up, and that's the motivation behind it. And to go and build it with a group of people within Ballymacash and especially the board that we work with, they're all brilliant. Like, I'm not joking. We're probably turned in too close in terms of management and board, because they're so nice and there's such a process to do what they want to do for the club, because they're from the community and they want to be remembered as helping the community build them from somewhere to up there.
Yeah.
And they'll want to sit there in 15 years and go, we were on that board that did that. And they want that so much, and the effort they put in is unbelievable. They just love their club and they're so friendly. They're so respectful. My kids, my daughter Emma sitting here, and my son, they're never away. They try and go with me every training session, every Saturday. They love it. They're running about in Ballymacash tracksuits up in West Belfast with a big red handy ulster and all. People's on the bike going, what are you doing up here wearing a Ballymacash? And they're going, my daddy takes Ballymacash away. What's that? They don't even know. Okay. They don't even know or care what it's about. Like, and they just love it, and I love it too. Every time there's a wee bounce in the step in my training zone, and probably last year at Glenalvin, I was nearly, oh dear, finish some work up to Glenalvin here, disaster zone. You know, no matter what you do, you know it's not going to be enough, because it got to that stage. But now there's a bouncing step, can't wait to get up. You know, sometimes we're all having to crack together. We're going to do our work. We're going to the social bar after and order a load of pizzas in for lads out of the blue and sit. Sometimes we'll have a wee football quiz and all. Just do random stuff for an hour so we're together. And then we jump into the recovery suite and all. You know, me and Gaz get a wee sun on all. Work out the beer, put the music on, fresh as a daisy, have a shave. And we're just going, where would you get this? You know, where'd you get this? It's unreal. Yeah. So we really enjoy that side of it. It's brilliant.
Well, it's nice to see you being successful, and I say I had Gaz on. I've been trying to get you on for a long time.
I was trying to get the weight off, but it just seems to get bigger and bigger.
But it's incredible to see people coming in, doing well again, and obviously being happy. So it's an absolute pleasure. I feel like you can't really finish on a better note, but we do finish on hugs.
Always.
Up you come.
Love you, been so always help.
Thank you. Pleasure, Wester. Oh. This knees don't be trouble like yours, telling you. Join us next week on the On the Spot Football Podcast for yet another fantastic guest. See you soon.